Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Midnight English Podcast. I'm Maya, and I'm really happy you're here with us today because this feels like one of those calm, cozy moments where we can slow down, listen carefully, and enjoy learning English in a very natural way without pressure or stress, almost like sitting with a friend, sharing a warm drink, and letting the conversation flow naturally without trying too hard.
Hi, friends. I'm Daniel, and I honestly feel the same today. Feels relaxed and comfortable, like we don't need to rush, we don't need to sound perfect, and we don't need to impress anyone. We can just talk, listen, and slowly build confidence with real everyday English together.
Before we jump into today's topic, Daniel, I want to ask you something very simple because I think many of our listeners will recognize this feeling immediately. How was your day yesterday? Did it feel busy and tiring? Or was it more calm and easygoing?
That's actually a great question. Yesterday was a mix of both for me because my morning was quite busy with work and meetings, and I could feel my mind getting tired and a little overloaded. But later in the afternoon, I decided to slow myself down, take a short walk, listen to some music, and just breathe for a while. And that small change really helped me reset my energy. How about you?
That sounds really nice. My day was much calmer because I stayed home most of the day, made some tea, read a little, and listened to a podcast. And even though nothing special happened, it still felt like a good and meaningful day. And I think those simple days are actually perfect for practicing English naturally.
Exactly, and that's something I really want our listeners to remember. You don't need special events or big experiences to use English. Even very simple daily moments are enough to practice speaking, thinking, and feeling English in a natural way.
And that idea connects perfectly to today's topic, because today we're talking about a word that appears in almost every simple daily situation, whether you are at home, at work, traveling, or just talking to friends.
Yes, and it's a word that looks very easy at first, but then slowly becomes confusing when learners realize that it has many meanings and can be used in many different situations.
That word is get.
Ah, yes, the famous word get. I think almost every English learner has a love and hate relationship with this word because it feels simple, but at the same time, it feels unpredictable.
Daniel, when you were learning English, did the word get confuse you at some point in your learning journey?
Definitely at the beginning, I thought get only meant receive something, but as I listened to more real English conversations, movies, and podcasts, I started hearing it everywhere with different meanings, and at some point I felt unsure and even avoided using it when speaking.
That feeling is extremely common, and many learners feel insecure not because get is difficult, but because they are afraid of using it incorrectly and sounding unnatural.
Yes, and once that fear appears, learners often stop using the word completely, even though it is one of the most useful and natural words in everyday English.
That's why today we're not trying to control, get, or memorize grammar rules. Instead, we're trying to understand how it feels in real life and slowly become comfortable using it naturally.
Exactly, and by the end of this episode, our goal is that listeners stop feeling nervous about get and start seeing it as a friendly and helpful word they can trust.
Let's start with the easiest meaning, get, meaning receive, because this is usually the first meaning learners understand and feel confident with. For example, you can say, I get a message from my friend. I got an email from my boss this morning. Or I finally got a reply after waiting all day.
This meaning feels logical because someone gives you something and you receive it, so your brain accepts it easily and you feel safe using it in conversation.
Now let's move to another very common meaning, get meaning become, which we use when something changes over time. For example, you can say, I'm getting tired after a long day. I'm getting better at English little by little. Or the weather is getting colder these days.
This is very important because here you are not receiving anything, you are describing change. And once learners understand that get often shows change, many sentences suddenly make sense.
Another meaning we hear all the time is get meaning understand. Like when someone explains something and suddenly you say, oh, I get it now. And this shows that moment when everything becomes clear in your mind.
This is very emotional English because it connects language with feeling and understanding, and native speakers use it constantly in daily conversation.
We also use get to mean arrive. For example, what time did you get home? When did you get here? Or did you get to work on time this morning?
Exactly, and although you can say arrive, get feels more relaxed, more friendly, and more conversational.
So when we compare get with become, understand, and arrive, we can see that all of them are correct. But get usually sounds more natural in spoken English and daily conversation.
Right, instead of asking which one is correct, it's often better to ask which one sounds more natural when people speak casually.
And very often, especially in real life conversations, the answer is get. Now, friends, this is the part where many learners start to feel a little overwhelmed because you might be thinking, wow, get has so many meanings. How can I remember all of them without getting confused?
And that feeling is completely normal because your brain is trying to translate and control everything instead of letting the language flow naturally.
This is where we want to slow down and change our mindset a little because learning English is not about memorizing a list of meanings. It's about recognizing patterns in real situations.
For example, when you talk about change, your brain will naturally start to choose get. When you talk about understanding, get it will come out naturally. And when you talk about arriving somewhere, get home will feel comfortable.
I want to share a real story here because this reminds me of a student I taught a few years ago who was very motivated and studied grammar a lot. But she felt extremely nervous when speaking, especially when simple words like get appeared.
I remember similar students too. What happened with her?
She told me that every time she wanted to say something simple like, I got tired, her brain stopped and started asking too many questions. Should I say, become tired? Should I say, feel tired? Should I say, am tired? And by the time she decided, the conversation was already over.
That situation is so real, and I'm sure many listeners recognize themselves in that story.
The turning point for her was when she stopped trying to be perfect and started copying natural phrases she heard in real life, like, I get home late, I get tired after work, I get it now. And slowly her confidence grew.
That story is very important because it shows that fluency comes from using language, not from knowing everything.
Now let's talk about gentle correction, because this part is very important for learning naturally. For example, some learners say, I do a break, but the natural English is take a break. You sit down, relax, and it sounds friendly and smooth.
Notice how small changes like this can make your English sound much more real and natural without adding pressure or stress.
No stress at all. Just listen, notice, and gently correct yourself, because little by little English becomes natural.
And friends, don't worry if you made mistakes before. Just remember simple everyday phrases like take a shower and take a break, and they will slowly become automatic.
Take it easy, take it slow, and your English will grow naturally over time.
Now it's our friend's turn. This is your moment to use English yourself and connect it to your real life.
Think about your day for a moment. What do you get every day? Maybe you get coffee in the morning, you get your phone, you get your bag before leaving home, and you can even write these sentences in the comments.
And here's another question to think about. How long does it take you to learn English little by little? And you can answer in very simple ways like I get better every month or it takes me time, but I enjoy the process.
Write it, say it out loud, because practice makes English stick and feel natural.
Don't be shy, share your thoughts, and imagine using these get sentences in your daily life because they really are everywhere around you.
Looking back at today's episode, it feels like we went on a long but gentle journey with the word get. And we saw how many real life situations it appears in without feeling heavy or complicated.
And the best part is that you don't need to remember everything at once. Just start using it little by little every day, and get will slowly feel natural and comfortable.
Friends, try to notice get in your life. When you get home, when you get tired, when you get an idea, or when you finally get it.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like the video, leave a comment with your own get sentences, and join us again for the next lesson.
Keep practicing, keep speaking, and little by little, your English will grow naturally and confidently.
Take care, friends, and keep taking small steps every day with your English. We'll see you next time.